can we expect an announcement on Wilder Ortiz 2? And is there any further info on which network is likely? Lance replies, there's heightening speculation that we'll see Wilder Ortiz 2 announced during the Fox pay-per-view of Spence John Porter on September 28th, which would indicate Wilder will be on Fox, not Showtime. I was told along the way that Showtime would feel so badly stiffed at losing Wilder that, this is a quote from some source, quote, if Showtime loses Wilder, PBC loses a network. Unquote. It's a tremendous showdown ready to come to a head, finishes Lance Pugmire. Now, let me read it again. This is a quote from the source that Lance Pugmire has. If Showtime loses Wilder, PBC, quote, loses a network. Now, I'm of several minds here because this is really fresh in the news cycle, and also I would like more information to come out before I jump to any conclusions. But number one, if you're PBC, I don't feel like this is a significant threat, to be quite honest. Like, if you lose Showtime's, 10 events a year, I think, I'm being honest here, I'll bet money on it that Fox would be willing to sort of renegotiate the deal and re-up it to accommodate maybe an influx of guys like Gervonta Davis, Edwin Laura, for sure the Charlo brothers, both on the network. I think they would accommodate that without a doubt. On top of that, if you just have more guys that need dates, you have more guys that could fill out cards and sort of beef up cards. Instead of stretching yourself thin, imagine if you just had the same Fox schedule, but all of the Showtime fighters that fought on Showtime were also on, or were just purely on Fox as co-main events, as, the opening fighters or fights to a pay-per-view or a Fox telecast, main card telecast. I think if you're PBC, there's no real threat here from Showtime, to be quite honest. And I don't know if I would have said that, 6 months ago, or about 6 months ago, when the Fox deal was fresh in our minds. I don't know if I would have automatically gone, they could leave Showtime and it's no issue, I think, for their business model. And if anything, it probably makes it a little bit easier for them overall to just be streamlined on Fox. Just being honest here. However, this would be a huge loss for Showtime's sporting network, or sporting sort of just content base overall, because largely their boxing content is predominantly their sporting content. On top of that, PBC is obviously predominantly their boxing content. You do get the occasional Clarissa Shields card that isn't a PBC card on Showtime, but largely speaking, most of these cards that are on Showtime or ShowBox Next Generation are Al Heyman PBC cards. So to lose that content base would hurt them, at least in the short term. There's no way around that. You have an audience that is used to getting certain types of content that no longer has that content there. They're going to leave. I'm not saying it's the end of Showtime as a whole, but Showtime boxing, at least maybe a definite reevaluation of what they should invest in. I have flirted the idea that with the merger of Viacom and CBS potentially happening soon, Viacom being the majority owners of Bellator MMA, which is probably the second biggest fight promotion in terms of MMA fight promotions, I would not be surprised to see Showtime welcome back MMA into the fold when they had Strikeforce back in the day and they built up Ronda Rousey, Nick Diaz, Daniel Cormier, and others on their network, nearly 10 years ago. Could they bring that in to supplement their boxing content that they would lose theoretically in this scenario? Absolutely, and I think Showtime long-term would be okay if that's the result. However, in terms of Showtime sports, Showtime is fine. They have plenty of, original content in terms of television shows. That's really their bread and butter. But in terms of their sporting department, they need something in this void. If they lose PBC, Bellator would make the most sense. However, that's a lot of steps to get there, to be honest. Right, guys? Like, it would take a lot of dominoes to fall. It would take a lot of things to fall in their favor. Not only, get Bellator in a short enough time to where they don't lose out in a total market and subscriber base that they have and they've built through the years. It's definitely a tough situation for Showtime overall. I don't know how you navigate this and strong arm PBC. Because again, like I've stated, PBC is in every position to say, okay, we'll walk. And that makes me have the mindset that this is probably, if again, Wild Ortiz 2 is going to be announced on Fox pay-per-view, I'm expecting it to be a Fox pay-per-view event as well. I could see Al Heyman and PBC gambling with Fox and that being their main network. Absolutely. Some comments from the chat I want to get to. Potential lunatic saying Fox seems to have enough budget and dates. Agreed. When they lost the UFC, they had such a, again, sort of in the same concept as Showtime losing PBC. They had such a void in their content, how their networks are structured in terms of content and programming, that PBC, they would take anything because they need content on FS1, they need content on Fox. They do, especially sports content and a combat sports content specifically. I know for a lot of people in this chat, it's MMA or boxing. There's no and, right? However, for executives, pro wrestling, boxing, and MMA is kind of like looked at as the same thing, to be honest. When I talked to some ESPN reporter for the KSI Logan Paul press conference, that was sort of the gist of what I got from it. But what else is there? John Doe, great name. They don't need to fill the void. They will pull out like HBO. No, I mean, they can pull out of PBC, absolutely, but I think they have a devoted sports audience. They've built that. They had a even more built-in MMA audience as well. So why not tap into that, especially if you're the owner, the theoretical owner, if the Viacom and CBS merger goes through, of Showtime would be Viacom, the same owners of Bellator. There's a commonality there from just a pure ownership standpoint that makes it obvious that these two sort of entities would be linked at some point. Let me see what else. Any other good questions? No, that's about it. But back to sort of wrapping up this topic. This seems like a strong arm by Showtime at the last minute to sort of get this Wilder Ortiz to pay-per-view. And it's a gigantic gamble. I don't think PBC is going to flinch. I don't think Al Heyman is the type of guy to flinch in a game of chicken. And I think he absolutely is aware that he has leverage here. And Showtime really doesn't. And that writing has been on the wall for some time. And Heyman's, no idiot. He's a very smart person. He's aware of that. If people like me, people that listen to the show are aware of the leverage that the Fox and PBC relationship has over the Showtime and PBC relationship, then they know it. And they're fully aware of it.